Words appear. Whose Plant Life is it anyway? In association with Sterling Creations and VIP Tech Productions present Ask Donna. Donna Jodhan answers your questions and offers you tips and tricks on being an author, an expert, a sight loss coach, and an advocate. Ask Donna, the advocate.
Good day, everyone, and greetings from Donna at the Ask Donna show. It's a beautiful day today, I can tell you that, in my neck of the woods. And I'd like to thank my dear friend Victor Guvia for giving me this opportunity to be with you for yet another week. Hey, we're into the month of April. Can you believe that? I guess I can believe it, with the clocks marching on so quickly and we can't seem to ever stop them. But that's fine. Spring is here, folks, and let's enjoy. So, for this week, I'm going to be concentrating on Ask the Advocate, me as Donna, Ask the Advocate. And as I've mentioned, every week I'll be wearing a different hat. For this week, it's the advocacy hat. For next week, it's the author's hat. For the following week, it's the coach's hat. And for the final week, it's the so-called expert hat. So what can we look forward to for this month? Well, here goes. For this week, I'm going to be talking about using the formula that I have been discussing ever since I started my Ask the Advocates segment. The next week, I'm going to be talking about how you can use the sounds of water. Okay? And you use the sounds of water, such as falling rain, to really help create your, stimulate your creative juices and to spark your imagination into action. For the third week, which is Ask the Coach, I'm going to be talking about how to avoid spilling things, or at least some strategies to avoid spilling things. And for the final week, I'm going to be talking about what are some of the easiest types of social events. Okay? So, let's get going. And of course, at the end of it all, I'm going to be giving you a lovely mental stretch. All right, so let's go on to my advocacy hat. And we're going to be talking about how one uses the formula. So, what do I mean by using the formula? And it's about this. If I pay my bills and my taxes, then I am definitely entitled to everything else that the normal person or the mainstream person has access to. In short, if I pay my bills and I pay my taxes on time, I'm entitled to all the rights under the Canadian Charter of Rights. I'm entitled to every single thing that my brethren, those who are, I would say, the regular person, or not just the normal person, but the regular or mainstream person is entitled to. If there is no accessibility to something, it is not acceptable. It must be accessible. Again, no accessibility is not accessible. That is a given. If there has to be a workaround, Like the good old Arrive can, which they are still struggling with, it is not acceptable. It is not accessible. In early March, I traveled back to Canada from outside of North America, and guess what? The Arrive Can app was not accessible. I had to get my niece to complete all of the requested forms for me. She had to upload everything to the Arrive Can app, but nobody seems to be listening. So I will share with you that I have launched 2 complaints at the Canadian Human Rights Commission, one against the Canadian Border Security Agency and the other against Public Health Canada. They've been given a certain deadline, but guess what? They've asked for an extension of that deadline. And guess what? The Canadian Human Rights Commission has granted them their request. But for whereas they asked for 6 weeks, they were given a month. If you think this is fair, I want to hear from you, okay? I don't think it's fair. So, there is my soapbox call for this week for me as an advocate. And if you want to send me any feedback, please do so to my new address, askdonnamylife@gmail.com. Sorry, askdonnaonmylife@gmail.com. Let me just check this out. Okay, so I will correct this at the end of the show, okay? Sorry about that. Now, in the meantime, if you wish to subscribe to my oh gosh, what's going on with me today? If you wish to subscribe to my monthly newsletter, the Blind Lifestyle newsletter, it's free, and you can do so by going to you can go to www.donnajodhan.com/subscribe. Again, you can go to www.donnajodhan.com/subscribe. And Donna Jodhan is spelled DONNAJODHAN. Again, I apologize for my faltering here and my pauses. I'm sorry. You can read more by going to www.donnajodhan.com/TBLN. Again, www.donnajodhan.com/TBLN. Okay, so it's now, you can also learn more about my advocacy efforts by visiting www.sterlingcreations.ca/news.html. Okay? And I will spell this out for you. Again, www.sterlingcreations.ca/news.html. Sterling Creations is spelled STERLINGCREATIONS. Again, www.sterlingcreations.ca/news.html. Okay? Now it's time for my mental stretch. Ah, yes, the mental stretch. You have your physical stretch, you have your all kinds of stretches. Well, now it's time for my mental stretch. okay? And we are going to use one of our senses to do this. For this week, we're going to use the sense of hearing as part of our mental stretch for today, okay? So, most times people don't like white noise. And what is white noise? White noise really comes from what you hear on social media, what you hear on the news. You know, it's what you hear through your computer, through TV, through your iOS device, things like that. This is what we call white noise. Well, you know, oftentimes this white noise is irritating, but let's use the white noise to help us have a good old mental stretch. How can we do this? Well, we can do this by listening to just the voices we hear. A lot of the times, these voices we hear, I wouldn't call them soothing, but I would call them, you know, voices that are pleasant to hear, welcoming to hear, whatever. And it is a voice that I often use in order to feel comfortable whenever things are a bit too quiet in my condo. I turn on my TV and I turn it low and I listen to the voice, not necessarily what the words are, but what the voices, you know, are emanating. This may sound a bit strange, but trust me, try this out. Try out the white noise as part of your mental stretch and see how you feel. Or you can try listening to the sound of barking dogs. You know, again, oftentimes these poor pooches sound as if they're either anxious, angry, animated, or something like that. But just listening to the sound of barking dogs is not a bad idea, especially, you know, on a morning or an afternoon. I wouldn't say that at night, you know, they probably would wake you up. But dogs have very interesting voices, and just listening to them, it can be very soothing to you and really help to settle down your mental, what's the word I'm looking for? It'll help you to settle down your mental, oh boy, I'm losing my words today. Help you to just settle down, okay? So, your mental psyche, someone just pointed out to me, your mental psyche. Barking dogs, you know, nothing nicer than listening to barking dogs, especially during this spring. With the windows open, the dogs are barking, you know that activity is going on out there. So this is what you can use to extend your mental psyche, to stretch it, and to make sure that you know, your creative juices are intact, your imagination is intact, right? You're sparking your imagination, you're stimulating your creative juices. This is your mental stretch for this week. Or you can listen to the sound of crickets at night. Believe it or not, the sound of crickets is really, really interesting. Just hearing them is so soothing. You might think that they're irritating, but no. Let's look at the positive side and think of soothing, soothing, soothing. The sound of crickets just chirping away. It's so free. You may hear a bunch of them singing in unison, or maybe just one or two. It's like a choir listening to the gentle sound of a choir as it sings along. Okay? So, you can send me an email at askdonna on blindlife@gmail.com. Again, askdonna on blindlife@gmail.com. That's askdonnablinDlife@gmail.com. One last time. askdonna jonblindlife@gmail.com. Folks, I apologize for my faltering this week. Oh well, I guess we all have these days, but I hope you enjoyed my show. Thank you again to Victor Guvia, my dear friend and mentor and advisor, for giving me this opportunity, and I look forward to being with you again next week. Have a great day, everyone, and do take care.
Tune in every Wednesday mornings at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, 7:30 a.m. Pacific for Ask Donna on Whose Blind Life Is It Anyway?